I had a girlfriend that my mother did not know was my girlfriend because, of course, I was not allowed to be gay.
Welcome back. Wendi Renee here. So excited to have you. Today, I'm talking to my friend Candice. Before we begin, I want to thank you so much for liking, sharing, subscribing. If you're watching this, you see the leather jacket. This is what I did a behind the scenes story on. It's on my highlight reel. Go watch it on Instagram if you're curious what things look like behind the scenes, which my drinking cup should not be in the shot. The audacity. Anyway, thank you so much for sharing, for subscribing, for, if you're listening to this on the podcast, thank you so much. It just goes to show that there are more and more people waking up to the fact that there is hope and positivity on the other side of high control religion and narcissistic abuse. And if you are watching this and you're just waking up from Jehovah's Witnesses or any high control religion and you found me, you found our channel, you found our community, just know you are going to be okay. You will pull through and we're here for you. So excited to have Candice on our show. Candice and I have been communicating on Instagram for quite some time, and you have been more than patient with me to get this story out. So tell us.
Well, thank you. I'm a very big fan. So that's what brought me here, right? And I like your interview style. That's exactly what brought me here. My background, my mom was married before she was married to my dad, right? So her and her first husband, they got the truth, the organization, through the door-to-door ministry, and they got baptized, they joined, and they were raising my two older sisters in it. And then they both got disfellowshipped. So then they got a divorce. My mother met my father. She had me, she had my sister. And as a child, there was no as far as I could remember, there was no teaching of any type of God in my life. And my father is not a religious person at all. When I was about 9 years old, my eldest sister brought witnesses to the house because she started studying with them again. I'm really not even sure how she started studying with them. And as a child, I'm an extrovert. I talk to everyone. And as a child, I was super, super friendly, right? So I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to know what it was about. And of course, they want to influence. So they got me hooked with the book of Bible stories. And I really liked it. I really liked it. I went to the Kingdom Hall, and then I found out, which I didn't know because I was a child, that my mother was disfellowshipped, right? So they would come, they would speak to my mom in relation to me and my sister, but they really can't speak to her, the sisters that were studying with my sister, and then eventually me. And then, so when I was around 12, I guess my mom decided that she wanted to get reinstated. She started studying with a sister. She was going back to the hall, and then she got reinstated around that time. And then when I was around 14, I entered high school. And any desire that I had towards the Kingdom Hall was it wasn't there anymore. I was an adolescent, I was a teenager, and then my father wasn't in the organization, so I didn't have to go. And I got into the street life, I live in Brooklyn, New York. So I wound up completely stopped going to the hall when I was around 16 years old. I went to the memorial every year. That's about it. Because I thought it was important. I knew it was important to my mother. She got reinstated, whatever. So we would go, me and all my sisters. My eldest sister, who was studying back in the day, she didn't get baptized. I guess she was around 19 years old. I guess she studied with them. And then, she was 19 years old. So, my mother was close to everyone in her family. And at the time, everyone in her family, except for her brother, my uncle, was not in the organization. It was just him. And they weren't close for a long time because she was disfellowshipped, and he shunned her. He didn't speak to her. I really don't even have any memories of him prior to being a teenager. I left at 16. Then I guess when I was around 18 or 19, I had a girlfriend that my mother did not know was my girlfriend because, of course, I was not allowed to be gay and living in her household, right? So I had a girlfriend.
You didn't cover
No,
if you were.
No.
Okay.
No, I was not. No, I knew that. I remember as a child, I was really close to a Bethelite couple, and they were asking me, they're like, do you want to get baptized? And I was like, I like watching vampire movies. I don't think I'm ready for that. If I was going to do this, it was a serious thing for me, and I was just a teenager, Yeah, I didn't make that decision as a naive teenager. I made it as an adult who thought she knew what she was doing. So yeah, I was studying because my girlfriend was interested in studying at the time. And I was like, all right, she wants to study, I'll study, whatever. I really don't know how this is
Right.
going to work out, because if we both go into this, obviously we're not going to be together. And she was like my first like girlfriend that like I really cared about. I was like 18, 19 years old. That didn't work out. She didn't want to continue studying after like a year. And then I stopped studying. And then I continued to just live the life that I was living. Once again, like I was very much in the streets or in the club or in the bar, you know, and caught up with all that. I partied a lot. The partying, I'm going to get personal here because I feel like I have to, right? In order to tell the story properly. So the partying came with a lot of drinking and drug use. And I, around 25 years old, like I was really, really bad off with a lot of drugs. And a lot of people around me were dropping like flies. People were dying from drug overdoses. And they were taking much less than I was. I was taking so much more than them. And I wasn't in the hospital. I wasn't dead. I didn't get hit by a car. I didn't get kidnapped. I didn't get raped. Like I would be home. Like I would find myself waking up like either on my stoop or in my house, you know, like somewhere safe. So I was like, I gotta do better in life. And I got to change my life because I don't want this to happen to me. Like, obviously, it hasn't happened. So why continue to take these chances? And my younger sister at the time started studying with witnesses. A witness reached out to her to see if she wanted to study. And she said, yeah. And then they invited me to come over and watch the video with them, Faith in Action. And I loved those two videos. I really did. I love them so much. I'm like obsessed with history in general. So when I see like history in relation to that, I loved it. Right.
Yeah, it was purple. It was Purple Triangle for me. And
that one's
the
that
name,
one too,
the organization behind the name were big ones for me. Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
Of course they do.
I started going to meetings and I found a way to get off of drugs without going to rehab. I basically just like went to a pharmacy and I said, listen, I'm addicted to this, this, and that. Do you have anything, herbal remedies that will like take the edge off so that I won't want to take these drugs and I won't need to go away? And the pharmacist, like, he recommended a bunch of things and I got all of them and I took them to see which one worked the best. One of them, I like blurred my vision, I couldn't see. And one of them is called valerian root, right? So I started taking valerian root to take the edge off, and it really did help. And I really did I never had drugs ever since then.
Valerian root is also known to help with depression too. Not that if you're listening to this, not that I'm recommending this. Get help. And so that was it. So just cold turkey, just complete change.
Cold turkey, no drugs. Valerian root.
You know what I find fascinating about you, and I want to ask you this. The stereotype is that if you leave the religion, you're going to end up on drugs. You're going to end up, right? That it's the power of the witnesses, the power of the religion that transforms your life. For you, was it more so just seeing the damage that drugs and alcohol can do to you potentially, or was it the religion that kind of got you clean? What actually was it?
It's a mixture of both, without a doubt. So I know the damage that drugs can do. Drug abuse. I absolutely know the damage. I've experienced it myself. I put my family through hell. Then being in the religion, sobering up, coming into the religion, right? And then keeping me sober for a while. For a couple of years, I would say, is, you know, the idea of, I don't want to show God that I'm disrespecting this second chance that I've been given, right?
Exactly why I asked, because I've spoken with some people who, for countless reasons, I completely understand that everyone has their own reasons that they fall into addiction. But if they attribute getting clean to the religion and then they wake up to the religion, the scariest part for so many of these people was, I'm going to fall back into addiction because it's the religion that cleaned me up.
Well, it definitely goes further than that for me. It goes for, like as the years go by, right? So I got baptized in 2013. So I got baptized pretty quickly once I came in, right? I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. I'm very impulsive anyway, by the way.
But wait a minute, you kind of gave up the possibility of having a relationship then?
Yeah. Actually, I'm just going to spill it all, right? So around January.
You don't have to, or maybe I'm
No,
too nosy.
no. So obviously, like, struggling with sexuality and struggling with the idea of having a relationship with God and thinking about this and being on drugs and being like drunk and shit all the fucking time, right? So I had sex with a random guy in January of like 2013 to have sex with a guy, to maybe fucking straighten myself out. Who knows? It didn't work. It did not work. So then I just
that's not necessarily a sexuality thing. It doesn't work. I'm just saying across the board, it doesn't work.
No, but I mean, for me personally, it didn't work. So then I just accepted that I am going to be celibate, right? Because that's something that like, if you're straight and you're in the organization, right, and you're single, you just wait until you get married, and eventually that's when you have a relationship with somebody. That's when you can have sex. For me, I seen it as something that I valued more than sex at the time, or I valued more than being in a romantic relationship at the time. I mean, my life changed drastically from being a complete mess to having a lot of structure.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So
Colt hit the pain points. Sometimes we don't even know what we're missing by the time they find us. So that makes total sense.
Yeah. And the decision to get baptized, it was based upon, like, obviously studying, and I did feel like I had a relationship with God, but there was one article, and it was something about safeguarding your spiritual inheritance, and it was comparing Jacob and Esau. And when I was reading this article, I always right, identify with Esau. Always giving into our desires, right? But I wanted to identify with Jacob. So that's when I went ahead and made the decision, like, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to have a spiritual inheritance. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to get baptized. I'm going to dedicate my life to God, And that's what I thought I was doing. I thought I was dedicating my life to God. I didn't realize that I was dedicating my life to an organization that is very, very, very demanding. And for a while, I didn't realize that. I did not realize that at all. And
not accepting of who you are as a person.
Yeah, not accepting.
And who you love and how you love.
To me at the time, what I thought was that it was part of imperfection, and God was going to fix me in the new world. And now that I think about it, it's so fucked up, right? It really is. It's like, I don't need to be fixed. I'm sorry. I don't need to be fixed.
Because you're not broken.
Yeah, I'm not broken. There's a healing journey that's happening, but I don't need to be fixed. I don't need to be saved. That's the thing.
That's the one part of you that's not broken. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Right? Wow. So a firm resolve to stay celibate. Then what happens? So you get baptized, and
I get baptized in 2013, and everything's going fine. Everything's going good. I have like I said, I'm an extrovert. So basically, like, everyone in the congregation is my friends. I felt like my congregation was a little liberal as well in relation to what you would consider liberal within Jehovah's Witnesses, right? So they're not political liberals, but they were liberal in that sense, I mean, I have tattoos all over my body since before I came into the organization, and the elders were like, use that to your advantage when you're out preaching. You don't have to cover yourself. Don't worry about that. Things like that. So they made me pretty comfortable, pretty happy, and like being myself. I would speak to my elders and tell them how I'm feeling about certain things, or I would even, tell them about like certain tattoos, or even like about like, I didn't tell all of my elders, but I told some of my elders about my sexuality, obviously. And they're like, don't worry about it. Like, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I have to say, I really have to say, I have absolutely zero complaints about the congregation and the body of elders in the congregation that I was in.
So hang on a second. So Let just gave a talk on one of the broadcasts, and he said that there are no homosexuals in Jehovah's organization.
That's such a lie.
He gave a blanket statement.
That's such a lie.
No, they're really hurtful.
Wait, what is the term? I forgot the term because somebody said it to me.
I know what it is, but I think it's rude. I don't want to say it.
Go ahead and say it.
The NPGs. That's what the non-practicing
The
gay.
non-practicing gays. Yes, the non-practicing gays.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's horrible that you were given a title. It's just so, it's, I cringe at that. But
Yeah, you know, but you just get used to it as far as the culture goes, you know? You just get used to
I'm
it.
never
And
getting used to that.
not many people within my congregation knew about me,
Mhm.
but like I said, some of the elders knew.
But you were in Brooklyn, right? So I get it. Like being in the city, there's
Brooklyn,
it's
New
more
York City.
transient area. Yeah, New
Yeah.
York City. Yeah.
And I'm sure people had their suspicions. I didn't have my hair cut short, and you know, I wasn't
Well,
as open as I am now, but you know, you can have your suspicions. You can go ahead and have
why?
them.
Because you were single? Yeah. Anybody who's single past the age of 22, people start to wonder. It's just so ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah. Like I had friends, I was enjoying myself, going to conventions, going out in service. I wasn't pioneering, I was doing the auxiliary once in a while, and everything seemed great, right? So then now this has nothing to do with Jehovah's Witnesses, but it does have to do with my journey, right? So when in 2015, right, I got a new primary care doctor. And I went to him and he insisted on a blood test. Oh, we have to do a blood test. We have to make sure that everything is okay before I start caring for you. So I said, all right, no problem, take a blood test. And then he found out through the blood test that I had an overactive thyroid, right? So an overactive thyroid means that you're producing too much. And it was getting out of hand where I wasn't sleeping, my heart was racing, my hair was falling out. And he's like, you have to go to an endocrinologist and they have to help you with this issue, you know? So I went to an endocrinologist and they prescribed me a pill, and the pill gave me a rash all over my body. Horrible, horrible allergic reaction, right? So I took so much Benadryl that day because I was like, what's going on here? I didn't realize that it was the pill that did it to me, and I couldn't be on that pill. I couldn't be on that pharmaceutical. So I had to find out some other way to treat this. And the doctors, the options that they give you are the options that they give you, the ones that they know, right? So, and I was naive. I didn't know about what people consider alternative medicine or holistic or homeopathic or like not naturopath medicine, right? So I only knew what they were presenting to me. And they said, well, since you can't take the pill, we have something called radioactive iodine, or you could get surgery to correct the matter. And I didn't want to get surgery to correct the matter. So I took a radioactive pill. I took a radioactive pill.
I've heard of this. I have
So
hypo.
this, yeah, so yeah, so this was supposed to, right? They did blood work to know how much to give me, and it was supposed to balance me out. But it did not balance me out. I went from overactive to underactive. When I was overactive, I lost a lot of weight without doing anything because your body is constantly going inside without you even realizing it. When you're underactive, now you're sluggish, right? So I gained in like a month, it was sick, maybe a little more than a month, but definitely less than 2 months, like 50 pounds, 50 fucking pounds from this pill, this radioactive iodine, right? So I had now an underactive thyroid, and they said, oh, it's not a big deal. You just take Synthroid for the rest of your life. And I didn't get an allergic reaction to the Synthroid, but now it's a pill that, you know, I have to take for the rest of my life. And there is no fixing it the natural way because I messed myself up with the radioactive iodine, right? Then 2017 comes along and I begin to research into natural medicine, natural healing, diet, nutrition, exercise, right? This is now a way of life for me. So 2017 happens and I went vegan in August of 2017. And a lot of healing happened at that time. And also what happened at that time is I no longer desired to put any garbage in my body ever again. So the idea of drugs and alcohol, abusing that, taking drugs at all, or abusing alcohol is completely out the door. It doesn't exist in my life anymore. I no longer have this tie to this God now in this way, right? This is
You are speaking to my soul. We were on the exact same path.
Okay.
I want you to continue, but I need you to know how connected I am to this story. Because I was hospitalized. It was so bad. My anxiety was so bad. They were diagnosing me with MS. By the time I got diagnosed at the NIH, by the time they diagnosed me with hypothyroid, I was getting the brain zaps. That's how bad it was. I have hypo, but I was still overweight. I look back at old pictures. I was a complete mess.
You were underactive.
I was underactive.
You had
Yeah.
hypo. Yeah,
But
yeah. Oh, so the
because
brain
of my
fog turned into the brains. Yeah, because
it
you weren't
was
treating it.
awful. The brain
Yeah.
fog was
Yes,
so bad,
yes.
but
Mhm.
I kept calling it anxiety or mom brain or so then I was diagnosed with it as well. I got in Synthroid, but I went to IIN for the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And then
Mhm.
I saw a naturopath, same thing. I've been vegan for 4 years.
Good shit.
And I have seen significant change. And I was also diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which I talk about all the time based on trauma. But yes, because it is true. And around 2016, 2017 is when What the Health came out, all these documentaries.
What the Health is significant in why I went vegan. Absolutely. Yes.
Yes, same.
Mhm.
But mostly because I'm not one of those vegans that's going to throw paint on a woman in a white
No,
dress.
not at all. I'm not
I
going
did
to.
it for when I saw the
I'm just going to
decline.
condemn my friends and family, but I'm not going to throw paint on a stranger.
Yeah, I know. I gotta cook sometimes for my kids because it's been a struggle for years.
Okay.
I saw such a significant change in the inflammatory process, just in my skin, like everything cleared up.
And then on What the Health, I seen whole cuts, like processed meats, like I guess the rest of the country calls them deli meats, and bacon, right, are considered carcinogens, right? And what else is a carcinogen? Smoking cigarettes, right? So this is how my brain works. If two things are the same, then they are the same. So witnesses can't smoke cigarettes, right? I had a girlfriend that my mother did not know was my girlfriend because, of course, I was not allowed to be gay. They don't smoke cigarettes because it's damaging the body and you're disrespecting your God by damaging your body that way. So why can they eat bacon, right? Or let's just take a step back. Why is bacon served at Bethel, right? Okay, you can't tell people what to do, but why are you serving it at the house of God, right? If it's damaging to the body, right? So that's how I seen things. And I was saying, you know what, maybe people don't know about this. So I would just mention these things to elders and to people in the congregation, like, oh yeah, you know, bacon is considered a carcinogen, just like smoking cigarettes. And they didn't care.
Fascinating.
So I was like, wow, they don't care about their bodies, you know, and a little bit just opens up a little. That's all you need is just a little. What do they say? A little leaven ferments the whole loaf, right? Yeah. So
I have never heard someone's wake up story in
it's
such an amazing connect the dots and astute way.
it gets so much better. It does. It gets so much better.
I can't wait.
So I work in an office, right? And in this office, we have college interns. So in 2018, I was 31 years old, and there was a college intern who was 19 years old, and she caught my eye and I caught her eye. And we became addicted to one another. And I got disfellowshipped. That's basically what happened. And then things did not work out with her. Surprise, surprise, she's 19 years old, right? So I got disfellowshipped for something that I wanted, and then I was missing all of my friends and I didn't have what I wanted anymore. Basically, like I had my family. I had my youngest sister. I was depressed in 2019 after that happened. I was depressed because I didn't have, you know, the girl that I wanted to be with. I did not have all of my friends that I had that I loved, you know, I loved all of them. And my relationship with my mother became like, she knows her daughter, right? So she knew when I was spending all this time with this person from work that what my intentions were without me saying it, of course.
But you were at this point, to back up a little bit, you were already out as gay to your family. They knew.
Oh yeah, when I was younger. Yeah, when I was younger.
Right. Okay, so they knew. Okay.
Yeah.
And they knew that by being a baptized witness, you did resolve yourself to a life of celibacy. Like they
to be
knew
celibate.
that.
Yeah, but you know, they have, you know, they have their high hopes that Candace is gonna meet a brother and get married to that brother, you know. So and talk and like talk like it's normal, you know, talk like it's normal. That did not happen. Right.
You're such a disappointment, Candace. For
yeah,
God's
I really
sake.
am. I love it. I love it so much. So
well, you know what? Some of us, even hetero on this side, we still never met that brother, and we're still disappointments. So there you go.
There you go. So yeah, I was super depressed in 2019. My sister would not give up on me, and she is fucking amazing and beautiful. My best friend in the whole wide world. I love her so much. She's not a witness, right? For a time, I guess she did believe that she never believed the indoctrination, which is great. And she never got baptized, which is great, you know? Around that time that she was studying, that I started studying, her friend's dad died. Her best friend's dad died. And the way that they coped with it was they were smoking a lot of weed. So she didn't study anymore because of that. And it worked out great. She thought, like, if the Bible is true, they are like the closest ones to it, but who's to say that they're the actual like mouthpiece of God, you know? Like,
Well,
she
they
didn't
do.
believe that. Yeah, they believe that. I fucking
Yeah.
believed it, but she didn't believe
Sure.
it, which was great, right?
Mhm.
So when I was depressed, she like came into my room. She would open up the blinds, make sure the sun shined in, and she would like take my comforter off of me, and she would drag me out of bed, and she'd be like, "You're getting sunshine. You're getting happy. You're not going to be depressed anymore. You can't live in your room." And I'm like,
So were you POMI at this point? You get disfellowshipped and
I
still
was
believe it?
POMI. Yeah, I was
See,
POMI.
I was
But
POMI too when I got DF'd.
this
Awful place to
this
be.
is what was great about me being DF'd, that I needed to be DF'd, right? So when I was DF'd, there was one brother in my congregation that continued to talk to me, and he got very comfortable speaking with me. And basically, he lives a double life to this day. He lives a double life. He does believe in Jehovah and the Bible and in the organization and all this shit, but he doesn't follow the rules. I guess he just doesn't. So he was telling me that, you know, he sleeps with women, and he told me the number of women that he slept with, and I thought it was pretty high for a brother, not for a worldly man. It's actually pretty low for a worldly man, but for a brother, it was pretty high. So then it got me to thinking, I'll just go back and live a double life, and I just won't tell anyone, because I was living a double life. And I told the brothers, I didn't want to tell the brothers, but I told them because, number one, I kind of really did want out because I wanted to be open in this relationship that I had. But number two, my mother was pressuring me so much, so much, so much. Oh, you got to tell the brothers, you got to tell the brothers, you got to tell the brothers. So I just went ahead and I was like, fuck it, I'll tell the brothers. So I told the brothers, and I got this fellowship. I could have just gotten reproved. I know what I had to tell them in that meeting. They wanted me to say, because they asked me a question. They're like, where do you see yourself in 6 months? And I said, I don't know. They wanted me to ask them for help, and I didn't ask them for help. I wanted to get this fellowship because, like I said, I wanted to be in the relationship. But I was disfellowship for about 9 months. And then I got reinstated. The entire congregation was super happy. Everyone in the congregation came up to me, hugged me, kissed me, told me how much they miss me, how much they love me. They didn't want to not speak to me, you know, but it is what it is. It's JW culture, right? So now at this time, I'm in my head living a double life, you know? I was like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want outside, and I'm just gonna do the routine of inside, you know, and I get to have what I want. I get to have my friends, and I get to have whatever else I want. I just have to be careful keeping it that way. And I was more involved with the witnesses, like with the witness side of the double life, than the worldly side of the double life, without a doubt. I get reinstated, and what happens in March of 2020? COVID hits. COVID hits. We had the last in-person assembly at the Brooklyn Assembly Hall the last week of February. We were the last one to have an in-person assembly. So then COVID hits in March, and everything gets locked down, everything gets shut down. People don't know what to do. They don't know how to react or anything like that, because this is something new. This is something that is scary, you know? I mean, if you think about the news was scaring the shit out of us. People are dropping dead in the streets. There are freezer trucks outside of hospitals. We don't know how people are going to react to this. Everyone's going on ventilators. They can't breathe. So, you know, everyone had to be cautious. We were in our houses or whatever. So at first, when the brothers shut down the Kingdom Halls, like, I thought that it was a smart decision, you know? And as far as March goes, my job had me still, even though like they declared a state of emergency mid-March of 2020 in New York City, they had me still going into the office, meeting in person with people until April of 2020, because I was working this temporary office in the Brooklyn office, because I work in property tax. So basically, like, it was like an outreach to homeowners that were either senior citizen, disabled, or veterans, right? So I was meeting with senior citizens and disabled people until April of 2020. And even people were coming in and they're like, you want us to come to the office to do this? And I'm like, this is what it is, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I was still going into, like, I mean, New York City was basically like, New York City's never dead, but it was dead in the sense of what New York City could be considered dead. You know, I mean,
it wasn't our New York. It wasn't our New York.
There's it's still alive compared to like other places, but it's dead compared to what New York City is. I was working until April 1st, 2020. And then I did go ahead and like, you know, we like got masks and we wore masks when we went outside, and we only went outside to go like grocery shopping or whatever. And like we disinfected everything and we were showering like fucking crazy and Lysol and this and blah, 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 blah. It was so much, right? And I'm sure a lot of people still do this. I'm not looking to offend anyone right now, but it was in my eyes, in my experience, for me personally, it was fucking overkill, right?
Right.
It was overkill. 11 days lockdown lasted for me. 11 days.
Especially as an extrovert. Yeah.
April 11th, I was out. I was like, we're going to do outdoor things. Obviously, I can't go anywhere indoors because everything's shut down anyway. But we're going to do outdoor things. We'll go to the park. We'll go for hikes. We'll go to the beach. Like, we got to do something, right? And also, I was saying that I was overweight, right? I mean, I still am overweight, but I'm much thinner than what I was, right? So, I was like, I'm not getting fatter during this. Like, this is not happening. I'm going to be sitting in the house. Like, I'm not waking up. I'm not going to work. I'm not
like, I just survived trauma and thyroid and iodine and radioactive material. And here I am. I'm not staying in the house.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not doing that shit. So that didn't last me. I was doing a lot of outdoor activities. The lockdown was not happening for me and for a lot of people in New York City, right? And then also when I was outside, so, you know, we would be at the beach or whatever, or we would be at the park and just, you know, trying to be as normal as possible, try to get in sunshine. Then like around June of 2020, I was talking to the elders and I'm like, when do you think we're going to go back? You think we're going to go back in July? And they're like, we'll see. You know, like they'll just say, we'll see, because if they don't know and they're not giving direction, they're not going to say anything. They're not going to give their opinions.
Well, they're waiting for the governing body because
exactly. They wait for the governing body. Right. So everything, I mean, the last time I was on Zoom before this was a meeting, right? It was
I know a lot of people are like, is it on Zoom? I'm like, maybe I'll switch to Google Meet because it's less triggering.
No. This is not triggering me. I'm fine. Yeah,
okay.
it was my disassociation meeting. COVID happened March 2020, right? So I got reinstated. I got all my friends back, but we can't see each other now. We can't hang out.
That's right. You might as well stay DS.
I'm fucking social, okay? This is who I am. I'm an extrovert.
I'm very extra. And I love that you approach it with such a beautiful sense of humor. It's so refreshing.
It is what it is. It's because I have siblings and cousins, you know, we're a bunch of crazy loud Italians. So then we're going on meeting Zoom, everything 2020, going through that. We're doing the letter writing. So tedious. And like, I fell off with the letter writing. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It's not happening. I started doing the phone witnessing. I wasn't doing that either. Then with the letter writing, they were like the congregation. This is where a little bit of the complaint comes in about the congregation. I did love the congregation and the elders, but the letter writing, like they were doing like, oh, we're going to do our service groups for letter writing. So I was with the same people, the same boring old people all the time with the letter writing. And I wanted to, listen, I wasn't with my friends. I wanted to be with my friends. So me and my friends were like, oh yeah, we're going to get together and we're going to do phone witnessing. And that's what we did to get away from everyone else. We did phone witnessing.
Phone witnessing.
Yeah. We did phone witnessing. We were chilling and we were making a phone call every once in a while. The territory.
Please don't pick up.
The territory is like predominantly like so many names are foreign names. And we have in New York City, of course, we have 1 million foreign language congregations. So even like to go through the list, there wasn't even a lot of people that we could call, you know. It was all right, we'll call this one, and then either like it didn't ring, it didn't work, or they didn't pick up, or if they did pick up, the conversation when people pick up, I'm not doing it, okay? But you know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm talking about, Wendi? Do the people want to know? Should I just do it?
Go ahead, do it.
We're calling as a community service to check on our neighbors to see how you're doing during this time, right? And that was it. See how you're doing during this time. And for me, doing that, once the letters got too tedious and I was like, listen, I'm not writing these letters anymore, then the phone calls got tedious. And then, like I said, you know, during this time, like didn't really exist for Candace. I understand that this affected people very negatively. It didn't affect me very negatively. And I'm not disrespecting anyone that it did affect negatively. Like, I don't want to be insensitive at all, but it did not affect my life in that way. So
this is your story. If
yeah,
someone's offended by that,
everything was normal for me, right?
Mhm.
And so like October 2020, I started going back to the office like a little bit. Basically, my boss was like, we're going to transfer you to Brooklyn permanently because I was in the city. I was in the financial district. We're going to transfer you to Brooklyn permanently. You'll be in your home borough. And when you need to go into the office to get work done, you could go in. You just got to let us know so that anyone that you sit around doesn't go into the office at the same time because they didn't want to sit next to each other. Understandable, fine, sure, you know? And I did that. So I was really getting back to normal because I wasn't necessarily working from home anymore. And then also like my job includes field work because I work in property tax. So I have to inspect properties in order to most of the time increase their taxes. I would like to say decrease the tax because this is what I truly believe in, but it's most of the time to increase the tax. Everyone has a job to do, you know? They had
Jesus still would have hung out with you, by the way. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. Just like
tax collectors.
Matthew, right? Yeah. Who are yeah. So
Yeah.
they had virtual inspections at my job in order to inspect properties. And I told my boss, I was like, listen, I'll go in person. If they want me in person, I'll go in person. I'm good to go. And I was like one of the only people in the office who went on all the in-person inspections. So my life is literally back to normal. And 2021 comes and it's like, I'm not doing the service meetings at all because, you know, why am I going to wake up on a Saturday and go ahead and sign on to this computer and do this when I don't want to do this? If I'm going to wake up on a Saturday, I'll wake up on a Saturday and do something that I want to do.
So you're still believing in the doctrine at this point.
I'm still believing. I'm still believing.
Here's the trend. Here's the trend in the wake up that I have seen with every person I've spoken with. It's when you take a break from the busyness, when you say, and COVID woke up, I don't even know, thousands. I joined that Reddit group in 2019 and it's grown like 20,000 people or something crazy like. But when you stop being busy for the organization, that's when things started happening for people. And that, even though they still kind of believe the doctrine, it's like, well, maybe I will sleep in on a Sunday, or maybe I'll just be in my jammies and log into the Zoom. That's how things started happening. It sounds like it's how it happened for you too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. My father had a heart attack, right? Basically like died on the table in the hospital. He got revived because he was on the table and he was hooked up to every machine. They were able to revive him. Then that made me wake up even more to health because I mean, I'm in my 30s, you know, I'm not old, but I still wanted to make sure that I was healthy. So I went to a cardiologist and I did all the tests that they had, and cardiologist basically told me like, yeah, you're healthy, but you should lose weight. So at that time, I was like, I would say maybe like 215 pounds. My heaviest that I've ever been was 230 pounds. And I'm 5'2". I'm really short. So I was big. I was obese, right? At that time, I was about 215. And I was like, yeah, you know, I walk everywhere. I dropped about 20 pounds. And the doctor was like, you should get into like resistance exercises, right? So I'm walking around my neighborhood and I seen a bunch of women running uphill holding a medicine ball. And I was like, wow, these women are in great shape. This is something that I definitely want. And I hear a voice behind them, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, ladies. And it's a trainer and he's training them. So I started talking to him as he's encouraging them, let's go, let's go. And he gave me his info. He gave me the gym that he works out of. And he gave me the gym's Instagram. So I went on the gym's Instagram and I seen that there wasn't just him who trained there. There was a bunch of trainers. I seen that they had a female vegan trainer. So automatically I identified, I said, I'm vegan and I'm female. So she definitely understands my body. I contacted her via Instagram. I started training with her at the gym, doing resistance training. And I remember my first couple of sessions with her. And to me now, the shape that I'm in and the conditioning of my body, it's nothing for me. But at the time, it was so, so difficult. But I wanted to do it. I wanted that change to happen. And once again, I'm a very social person. So I was not getting what I wanted from my social group, but I was getting it from the gym. I was getting it from the trainers, the owners, the other members. I was getting what I wanted, that social interaction
Mhm.
and a lot of
Really?
like-minded people. And I went really, really hard in my training. I was spending a lot of time at the gym, a lot of time with the people at the gym. So the witnesses, of course, are going to say something. I'm bettering myself. I'm literally making myself healthier, right?
Oh yeah, I knew that was coming. You knew
And
that.
I had a girlfriend that my mother did not know was my girlfriend because, of course, I was not allowed to be gay. You know, be careful. Be careful is like the first thing that they tell you. An elder outright told me that I was hurting him by being so self-involved. And this wasn't an elder that was in my hall. He used to be in my hall and he got transferred over to another hall. He told me that I was hurting. It hurts us to see you so self-involved. Yeah.
Guys,
At
it's
the
so
same,
personalized.
yeah,
It
yeah,
has
yeah.
nothing to do with you.
It has nothing to do with you
Wow.
at all. They want to make you feel like you owe something to the organization. That's what it is.
Right. Right.
Like
Well,
you
you're
owe
responsible
yourself.
for the
Yeah,
emotions of grown-ass adults, apparently,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
something that you really have to get through. Yeah.
Yeah. So around that time, also a broadcast came out where the brothers never specifically said that vaccination against COVID is a requirement, but they started recommending it, right? They started recommending it. They were strongly recommending it. So now I am someone who believes in natural medicine. I don't take vaccines. I don't take them. You want to take them? Take 100. I don't care. I don't take them. I never took the flu vaccine. As an adult, I have not gotten any vaccines. As a child, what my parents gave to me was their decision. As an adult, what I choose not to take is my decision. For them to be strongly encouraging it as basically the only solution to the problem, they're strongly encouraging it. And they're even putting things in their publications. And one of the publications that I'm going to make the screen smaller here. One of the publications that one of the brothers, the elders, emailed to us was it's entitled COVID-19 Helpful Reminders. And under making decisions, it says, though health decisions like vaccination are personal matters, it is wise to be aware of applicable governmental direction and to cooperate with public health officials. No problem, right? We should make it our aim to be guided by Bible principles and updates from the governing body. And then a couple lines down, it says, such loving guidance is most appreciated and reflects the governing body's spirit-directed and scriptural thinking on the matter, right? So to me, that's telling me that the governing body is saying their decision to strongly encourage this is from God. It's
and
a
they have
personal
fully
decision.
said that they are not inspired. So how are they able
Yeah,
to
they
say
said that, well, the words that they use, spirit guided, spirit directed, they're not inspired though, right? So this is a personal matter. This is not a spiritual matter, right?
Right.
And so I remember telling it to a sister, and I was like, you know, they really need to stay in their lane. I said, when it comes to spiritual things, I understand, but they shouldn't be telling us what to do about personal things. And she told me, who are you? Who are you to say that? They're the mouthpiece of God. Who's Candace, right? So I gave my opinion to a lot of brothers and sisters in the congregation, to all of the elders in the congregation. One of the elders who was my group overseer, he was really just telling me like, Candace, they're saying it's a personal matter. They're saying it's a personal matter. And I'm like, they're just leaving that as like, so that they don't get sued. They're really strongly encouraging this to everyone. And it's not the only solution. It may be the solution for, let's just say 99%. I'll give you the 99.
No,
but
a vaccine is not a cure.
No, it's not. It's not. And this one
not...
certainly isn't, because the CDC just said that it's the same as unvaccinated. They just came out with it like a couple of weeks ago. But
do you know how much
I said, I said to the brother, I said, I'll give you the 99%. Go ahead and take the 99%. But the 1%, it's not the solution for us. It's not. And there was, obviously they're not my friends anymore, but I was very close to them. I considered them some of my best friends. They were very suspicious of why the vax was being pushed so hard, and they did not want to get it. And the brother of the couple told me, if we have to get it to go out in service, are we going to stop that from serving Jehovah? And that's the mindset. That's why it bothered me so much, because people were thinking that way. If you want to continue to serve Jehovah, to serve your God who you love, you have to get this, but he never ever said to get it. It's just the GB just pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. So they're trying to influence personal medical decisions, the governing body. We'll leave it at that. I'm in this vegan JW group that has a certain opinion about personal medical decisions as well, that they should be personal. One of them, I can't give information because she's still chemo, because of family, because of her children. Well, one of them is in like a remote Bethel, and she is in on these meetings and she's hearing the things that the brothers are saying. Then at the end of the meetings, even though they recorded the entire meeting, her and her husband, the brothers, you hear the brothers saying, this meeting is to be kept completely confidential. Right? Emails and everything, emails about needing lawyers for shit. She shared a lot of shit with us. Right? So then she also read this beautiful book and she sent me the PDF and I started reading it. And then I bought this off of Amazon, right? So in the organization, right, I told you that I love the faith in action, right? I love the history. So as I'm learning the history of the organization, within the organization's information, right? Information control, we really can't go out of it, right? I've heard some stuff, but I ignored it. You know, Charles Taz Russell was a Freemason and like shit like that. My cousins would tell me, right? Because I was close to my family. I would look up like information about like, all right, after Russell was Rutherford, after Rutherford, who was it? Nathan Knorr. After Nathan Knorr was Fred Franz, right? And then Fred Franz had a nephew right here, Ray Franz. And then so I remember learning that Ray Franz left the governing body and speaking about it to the sister that I studied with initially when I got baptized. And the response that I got left an impression, right? And this was before I woke up at all, before I even got this fellowship in 2018, in 2019. This response that I got, even angels left heaven and became demons. So it shouldn't surprise us that someone left the governing body, you know, the anointed, that he's no longer anointed. So they compared this man to the devil, to demons, right? And you have this idea like he's the ultimate apostate. He is Satan's fucking agent on earth, right? If you read this book, this man is a sincere Christian who just wanted to know the truth about God. Like that's who Ray Franz was. Yeah. Really. He wanted
he even
to know
said that. He even said in his book, he still believed it for a while.
Yeah.
He's even like, listen, this is just what I uncovered. Like, just, you'd think like, in my mind, before this came out, I envisioned them all at like this big board meeting, because I'm part of a collaborative creative team for work. And if something is wrong or inaccurate, we talk about it, we correct it, we move forward. It's not like, it's not a big deal. That's why it was fascinating to me that he came out with all these inaccuracies that he found. And he's like, listen, just fix it. Like, oh, you're not going to fix it? Okay, well, I'm going public then. Bam. That's where it was like.
But what was amazing, like for me, what I believed about the JW religion was that even if they didn't have it all right, they were sincere in trying to get it right, right? So I would always think other religions stuck to their doctrine. And there's that scripture that is like, you make the word of God invalid by the traditions of men or something like that, right? Yep. So Ray Franz, I forget what page it was on, but it was in the beginning of the book. He said that this assignment about 587 and 607, that the whole purpose of the assignment was to get the truth no matter what. And that's what they told him. Get the truth no matter what. So he gets the truth no matter what. The truth is it's 587, it's not 607. That's the truth, right? And they said, we're going to stick with 607. So at that point, when I read that, I said, this is not the true religion. And that's my wake up point. Before the CSA, before anything else, she introduced this book to me. I read it because the distrust to the governing body, the door was opened with the personal medical decision. Then I was okay with reading this book because the distrust was there. And then when I read that 587, that's what woke me up. It was literally, you are sticking with your tradition over finding out the truth about God. Because at the time, I still believed in Jehovah and Jesus and that the Bible was the word of God, right? I no longer believe that. I don't believe that. Some days I'm atheist, some days I'm agnostic.
I did too. I was all about Jesus. Yeah. In fact, I remember thinking I felt called out because I was offended that Jesus barely got an honorable mention. Like it bothered me that
and then doing yes.
That they were slowly replacing Jesus. And then when I read Crisis of Conscience, this is what I say, the first step. And if you're newly waking up and you're still watching this and you're still part of this story, thank you. Mm-hmm. The first part of waking up is once you know it's not true anymore, the rest is more emotional unraveling from that doctrine. Because like you can, like I say all the time, like someone can tell me the sky is purple, but I know it's blue. And then their word doesn't mean anything to me at that point, but I still may be attached to that person. I still may have some sort of a relationship with that person. And that is where things start to change, is when you unravel the truth about the truth. That's what this is all about. Yes. And they double down on it, and even if they said, you know what, we're not correct in this, because there have been other religions who I had a Scientologist, ex-Scientologist on
I heard it. Great interview.
And she said, they would change things throughout the years. Mm-hmm. JWs never would.
But their belief system wasn't hanging on a date. JW's belief system is hanging on a date of 1914. We are in the last days. You are dedicating so much of your time and energy and resources to the organization, to Jehovah, because we are in the last days, right? Prophecy is being fulfilled right now. If they admit that they're wrong about 607 and then it doesn't add up to 1914, then everything crumbles.
They're done.
Everything crumbles. Now I'm woken up that this is not the true religion, and I'm in the religion still. So now I'm PMO, right? And I'm really not going to meetings because I don't want to be bothered with going to online meetings, And I told them, listen, I want to go to in-person meetings. I don't want to be online anymore. That was my excuse that I was using. And it was true, because if it was in person, I probably would have went, right? Or I would have went more often, more frequently, right? And I am someone who was at every meeting commenting for every single question. My hand was up. I didn't even need to put it down. It was up constantly. Candace studied. Candace was involved. So I didn't believe this anymore. I'm still going to the gym all the time. I believed in the Bible and the word of God and Christianity. So I'm like what is really the truth? Like, where is the truth in Christianity? Is there no truth? And then I began to think, like, it's Jesus. It's just all dependent upon Jesus. And they downplay Jesus so much, right? Because I was taking yoga, and this was my mindset. I was taking yoga on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. when I was supposed to be in the Zoom meeting, right? And I was like, this is my life now. I take yoga, I don't go to meetings anymore. I take yoga. Like I was lost, but I was okay with being lost,
Well, yoga opened you up to the demons. We know this.
Oh yeah, of course.
I love yoga. Love it.
She played that gospel song, and the song, it's called Show Me Your Face. And it's a beautiful, beautiful song. And someone wanting to connect with God, identifying with Christianity, and realizing that I don't have this relationship with the God that I thought I had, and that I'm not connected to his organization on the earth. After the yoga class, I went in my car and I started hysterical crying. I drove by the water and I broke down. This song broke me down. And I'm so happy that it did. And I just realized, like, I could not do it. And I was thinking about staying PMO for a while. And the only number that I kept from the hall, because I deleted them all out of my phone, the only number that I kept is the Kobe. Because the Kobe to me could be PMO, right? The way that he spoke to me. I remember him on the phone with me. He called me randomly as I'm out in work one day doing field work. And he said, Candace, don't worry about the generations. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about the new light. He's like, think about, just Jehovah, right? So that's what I was going to do, because I was like, you're right. I still believe in this Jehovah God. And I think that's possibly where he might be at. If he is PMO, he might just be saying, I'm going to stick with Jehovah. And this is what I know.
That's where I landed, because so many of my friends, my sister, they all said the same thing. Stop worrying, Wendi. You worry too much about what men say. Don't worry about what the governing body thinks. Don't worry about what the elders say. This was repeatedly when I started. I don't know, I wasn't as PME looking. And Wendi, you always worry so much about what men say. And then I had the friends who would tiptoe into I'm going to do me. I don't care what the elders say. I don't care what the governing body says. I'm going to trust in Jehovah. Interestingly, my thought at that time, before I decided none of it is actually true, was if the Israelites lost favor, is it so implausible that now the witnesses of the modern day Israelites totally lost favor, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe, even if it was true, which it isn't, but even if it was true, maybe it was true for a time. This is where my mind was.
That's where the mind goes. That's the thinking, because you're still indoctrinated and because you still want this relationship with God, because this is what you know to be good, right?
Exactly. Yes. But then what about the other people, like my grandparents and my aunts and uncles, who claim to also have a relationship with God? My father, who has a relationship with God in his heart, and not witnesses. You mean to tell me they're all going to be destroyed because they believe differently? That's where I lost it.
I stopped believing that shit.
Yep.
I stopped believing it. And believe it or not, when I was PMO, when I was speaking to people, they didn't really believe that. And I said, if you don't believe that, it says it right here in this study article, in this web page, in that, it says that this is their belief, that if you do not respond favorably to the good news that they preach, the book that they just did, the Ezekiel book, not the purple book, right?
No, I never read the Ezekiel book. That's way above my head.
It's like, I don't have it. I threw all my JW shit out.
Yeah, I didn't know prophecy, but we'll have fun along the way.
Yeah, so in that book, right, it says if people don't respond favorably to the good news in the last days, that basically they're not surviving. They're not marked for survival. That's what the chapter was about, being marked for survival. So that chapter got me, when I was PME, right, that got me super emotional. And I was studying it before the congregation even had a book study. And I hit up the elder, the group overseer, and I was like, this is really depressing me when I think about people that I love being destroyed because they didn't respond favorably to the message, and I believed it for a while. But then at this point where I'm at the the middle towards end of 2021, when I'm waking up, I didn't believe that shit anymore.
I remember reflecting conversations I had with PMEs, right? And they would say, yeah, well, I don't really worry about that. I don't
they don't believe it. I'm telling you, they don't believe it. Some people don't believe it.
Don't believe it.
They're
I envied the people who were in, but I envied those people, because I thought, if you're I'm all in or all out. I was very black and white. That kind of a witness. I was not the double life type of person. I almost wish I could have been. My honesty has been my worst and best quality as a JW, but I often wondered, then you don't really believe it then. Yeah. So how are you going to make it to paradise and I'm not? What? Just because I'm more honest about it? Okay.
Even living a double life, I still believed the teachings. I just didn't follow them because
it's not necessarily called a double life. There's a negative connotation to that.
Well,
a normal life.
Still sinning, not turning away from my sins, not being repentant. Yeah. So the Kobe, I was speaking to him. He was saying all these things. It made a lot of sense. And that was really about a month or a couple of weeks before I disassociated. And when I spoke to him, I said, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay. I really am. I'm going to be PMO, but I'm going to stay because I don't know nothing else. And these are the people that I love, and I'm going to stay for these people. Someone in the congregation hit me up and wanted to go out to dinner. And this is in December of 2021 in New York City, right? So it's freezing out. And if you did not make a certain personal medical decision, you were not allowed to eat indoors in New York City. You had to eat outdoors. And some restaurants said, fuck that shit, you could eat indoors. So those were the restaurants that I would frequent. And the sister asked me, and she was very close to me, and she knew everything about me. She asked me if I wanted to go out to dinner. And I said, yeah, sure, let's go to this restaurant. And she goes, oh no, because I don't want to be around certain people that didn't make that personal medical decision. And I said, I'm not eating outdoors in December in New York City. Are you crazy? And it doesn't matter how many heating lamps they have.
Right.
I'm not eating outdoors. Right. I've been to her house prior to that during COVID. So she could have invited me over, and I was going to work. She was going to work. She's a nurse. She works in a hospital. Said, all right, we'll do it in a couple of weeks. You think in January, I'm going to eat outdoors if I wasn't going to do so in December? January hit so hard that it's unbelievable every year, even though I know what to expect. That's how cold it is in January in New York City. So I said, why am I sticking around for these people? And I'm being treated like this by someone that I consider a really close friend. And I wrote my letter and I emailed it 3 brothers, and that was on January 1st, 2022. And they did not respond. And then so on January 3rd, 2022, I forwarded the letter to the 3 of them again. I said, please confirmation that you received this. And the Kobe called me right away. I was at work. Hey, Candice, I got your letter. I'm really sad to hear that. Would you like to meet up with us and, discuss, why you want to leave? So I said, if you want to hear why I want to leave, then I'm going to tell you. And at this point, 587 was my main point, but I also knew about CSA. I also knew about the Australian Royal Commission. So I was ready to speak to them about not just one thing, but many things. So I said, yeah, sure. If you want to hear what I have to say, I will tell you, but only if you want to hear it. He said, yes, we do. We want to hear it. Oh, prior to this, I just want to go back a couple of months. I met with the Kobe and I met with the CO when we had a CO visit. And when I expressed my concerns about the personal medical decision to the CO, telling him that it was a personal decision, not a spiritual decision, and that the governing body was trying to influence our personal decisions, he told me I had a deep spiritual problem because all personal decisions are spiritual decisions. And I said, so Jehovah is requiring me to do this? And he did not answer me. He would not give me a straightforward, but he said, all personal decisions are spiritual decisions. So that went ahead and told me that he's telling me, without telling me, that Jehovah says that I need to do this.
What a twist. What a twist of word. That can be.
Yes. So then I meet with the brothers, disassociation meeting after I wrote the letter. What I noticed in the meeting was that they weren't listening to anything. They were talking. They were talking and talking and talking. They did not even know the reasons why I wanted to disassociate. They would not hear the reasons why I wanted to disassociate. They just wanted to encourage me to stay. Encourage me to stay. Before I wrote the disassociation letter, so I knew what to say in order for them to accept that I am disassociating myself. And I knew that they were going to try to encourage me to stay. They did not listen to anything. And when I started speaking about Australian Royal Commission, the Kobe told me to stop speaking, not to tell them. They don't want to hear it. And I said, then we could go ahead and end this meeting. And they said, okay, we'll end the meeting. And then so now from this point forward, it has been.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think they shut down the ARC chat?
Because they're told, because they didn't know what ARC was. That's number one. They didn't know what Australian Royal. I asked them. I said, "Have you ever heard of the Australian Royal Commission?" They said no. They said that's enough.
Okay, so you disassociated. What does life look like for you now?
Amazing. It has been amazing, and I think that it has been in this way because I started my self-care and my healing prior to disassociating, even when I was still PMing, because when I started going to the gym and when I started taking care of myself and then connecting with individuals who helped me, who contributed towards my healing. That's what I'm going to say, because it's my healing, but they did contribute towards it.
Sure. Sure.
I'm in a great place. So great. I'm at peace, like real true peace and freedom. I am this Saturday coming up. I'm going skydiving, me and my younger sister. Yeah. We are going, I want to experience life. I have everything to live for. Every single day I live my life, take it one day at a time. And I enjoy everything about my life. And taking care of myself, self-care is essential to that, because when you take care of yourself, you give yourself love.
Do you hear that, audience?
Yes.
Do you hear that? We were taught for years
to neglect ourselves
and disown ourselves and push down our intuition. And this is the common thread. The minute we start taking care of ourselves, whatever that looks like, the minute we take a break from busy culture, we really step into who you truly are and what you truly believe. And I ask everybody this on the show, if you can talk to your former self, because she's in the audience, what would you say? Love yourself. Oh,
because you are the higher power that you're looking to connect with.
Wow.
It's all within you.
Thank you for that. And I really hope whoever's listening to this, that you step into that. Dude, thank you so much for this story. I know so many people are going to relate to this. We'll catch up with you next time. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
If you want to contact Candace, all of her information is in the description box. And if you want to tell your story, go to wendyrenee.com/tell your story, and the schedule will pop right up. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.